I phoned a friend. She recommended the material. It really impacted us. It gave us language and it gave us confidence. I think parenting is hard with or without a plan. I think it's harder without a plan.
The Lord wants us as husband and wife to be united.
Protecting that husband-wife relationship, and that it's a different relationship in the home than the parent-child relationship. From the father's perspective, your words are so powerful. And so you have a choice. Choose life or choose death.
There was a radical shift when I started to speak life to them. I felt like it communicated to them that I was for them. We became a safe place for them, as opposed to it being so performance and behavior driven. It became a heart discipleship position.
As parents, we can have a role in positioning them towards Christ.
It's just not the words that speak life, but it's our actions that speak life too.
Discipline and discipleship have distinct meanings. Discipline refers to training and correction, where discipleship is a process of teaching from a parent.
Discipline without discipleship corrects behavior but misses the heart. Discipleship without discipline lacks structure, but together they train up a child not just to behave, but to belong to Christ.
They go hand in hand. If you're not doing both, you're probably not in a healthy spot. Well, it's great to be back on the Life Parenting Podcast. Rich and Julie Young.
Yep, good to be here.
Yep, good to have you here, because without you here, it wouldn't be as good.
It would be a little difficult.
It would be, yeah. So thanks for showing up.
Sure.
Yeah.
Likewise.
So relationships, aren't they great?
Yes.
I mean, we have had some great relationships with people over the years. And it usually doesn't start, I mean, when you start out in a relationship, sometimes you just know. Like when I met you, I
just knew.
I knew.
I did too.
I could see it in your eye. It was the thing. Yeah. But sometimes you don't know that a relationship is going to be a long-term relationship, but you have an event. And we have some guests on today, which we're excited to spend some time with.
Yes.
And this is going to probably be a multi-episode series because we've got a lot to cover and we're not going to get it all done in one. No. So we're going to spread it out over a couple. So when you first saw our guest, what did you think? I mean, when we first met him way back in the day.
Well, I thought she might pop.
She might pop. Now that's a great way. That's a great way to introduce.
That's a terrible way to introduce
some good friends. Actually, contextually, once you explain it, it's going to make sense.
Yes,
but that's a great way to bring someone into the fold.
Yes,
So
John and Julie Keating.
John and Julie Keating.
Don.
It
sounds like John.
No, it's Don.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Don.
Okay.
Don with a D. That's right.
Yeah. Anyway, happy to have Don and Julie here. We first met you guys over 20 years ago. And the event that I remember was when you guys were hosting the Growing Families Conference in your then hometown of Detroit.
Detroit, Michigan. The Motor City.
Yes.
And that was, I believe,
Motown.
July of 2004. And do I remember right? Like the night the conference closed, you gave birth?
Yes. Yes. Literally right when the conference ended. We went to bed and a few hours after I thought, oh no, I need Don to get some more sleep before I wake him up.
Yeah, deep sigh of relief.
Went into labor.
Out popped the baby.
Yeah.
Amazing how that works.
That was our
Is
fifth.
that how it works?
That was when Henry was born.
Baby?
Yeah, it took us 5 times to figure it out, but yeah, that
on the
was
fifth one.
On the
That's
fifth
a different
one.
podcast.
Yeah.
That's a different whole different show.
That'll be the title of the podcast. Out popped the baby.
Yes.
That could be interesting.
Okay.
Come on.
Mm-hmm. We'll consider that.
So probably not going to happen.
No.
And then we really got to know them by spending time with them as families at a family camp that we went to for many years. Same family camp every summer, every Labor Day, I think it was, not summer, but every Labor Day. And spending time eating meals together, family activities together, sitting in the hallway of Red Bud Lodge while our kids slept, talking together. There's a lot of activities we did together, just learning about them as a family and then visiting down here in South Carolina many times.
Yeah. So. I think what we saw in them was a couple who valued the things that we valued. And that's what we were really drawn to you guys. You had a high value for your relationship with the Lord, for raising kids who loved the Lord. And when we saw that, and you guys were just a few years ahead of us too, so we could ask questions. Just what is Your oldest is like 2 or 3 years older than our oldest.
Not much. We were basically parenting
We're
at
close,
the
yeah.
same season. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's special when you connect with the wife and your husband connects with the husband too. So it's really nice when it's basically the couple and then the family the children are connecting to. So those relationships are very special.
Yeah, absolutely. So why don't you guys introduce yourselves? Tell us
Absolutely.
a little bit about
Should
who
we
you
start
are.
with blood type? That's
No.
always a good way to
No,
start.
that's okay.
No? Okay, we're not going to start with that.
Oh,
So,
bummer. I was all ready for
did
the
you
blood
have your
type
notes?
question.
Yeah,
Yes.
we're not doing that, Don.
Okay,
So do
okay.
something else. Do something
Well,
else.
this is my lovely bride, Julie. It'll be 30 years next month that we've been married, and it's been quite the ride. I couldn't have done any of it without her. We couldn't have done anything without us being together. It's amazing how the Lord has worked that out. And in those 30 years, we have 5 children, and they range today from 28 to 20. So they're all in their 20s, 3 girls and 2 boys.
So those first 8 years, you were busy.
We were busy. Yeah,
I mean,
there's a lot
5
going on.
kids in 8 years. I'm
Yes.
doing the math there. That is a lot of kiddos.
The math does work.
Yes,
we
it does.
did have
Barely,
our
but it
first
works.
baby before our first anniversary.
Yes. We set
But
the
the
table
math
for
works.
3.
Don't worry.
But somewhere between 9 months and 12 months after you got married,
Yeah.
somewhere in that range. Wow, that's
So we got
awesome.
married in June. Elizabeth came in
Hey,
May.
When I was in high school, I kind of did the math and I figured out I was born 9 months and 1 week after my parents got married.
Oh.
So I was like, wow, that's awesome.
It works.
It works. The
That's
math
right.
works.
You're good.
The math works. Yeah.
And we got married a little bit later. I was 33 when we got married. Julie's younger than me, and had to hit the ground running with this parenting thing because we have this newborn less than a year into our marriage. And we wanted to do something together, and meaning from a ministry standpoint, because we both love the Lord. We both knew that we wanted to raise a godly child, but what does that look like, and how do you do that? And I thought getting married changed my life. Holding this baby just turned everything upside down, and the reality of it all. And because I wanted 12, honestly, and we had one.
Did you share that with her while you were dating? That you wanted 12?
I
Was
wanted
that
it a lot.
after you got married?
That was after we got
That's a smart
married.
move. Would you have married him? When you were dating, Julie, would you have married him if he would have gone on a date and said, I want 12 kids?
I would have married.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
commitment
I didn't
right
want the
there.
12.
That's commitment.
That's my girl.
But Rich, the funny thing is after we had our first, I think we thought that we would just have one child.
Was he still on
Scaled
12?
it way back.
Was Don still
One
on 12?
was good.
Yeah, I think we settled on one at that moment.
Oh yeah, we were.
But
we were
actually what changed that was when we were introduced to the parenting curriculum. And that just truly, truly rocked our world in the
Oldest was
best way.
colicky, so we got all crazy stories on dealing with the colicky condition of the.
And I think some of
firstborn.
it was us making her colicky because we didn't know what we were doing. And so thankful that we had a plan and tools, and it put us on the same page. And so when something radically changes your life where your baby's not taking naps, your baby is not sleeping through the night, and then all of a sudden you have this material that gives you some pretty good principles, and right away it rocks your world and you see the fruit. It's like there's
within
no changing.
48 hours.
Yeah, truly.
Wow, 48 hours.
48
Oh yeah, it was
hours.
amazing.
What
It
material
was.
are you talking about?
The infant material. I was
but like-
sleeping through the night within 48 hours. Is amazing.
It's amazing.
All right, so
amazing.
tell us that story. How did you get? I assume that was preparation for parenting, the growing
That's
families.
what I was looking for. Like, what material?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
how did you get?
Well,
introduced?
honestly, I think we recognized our desperate need for help.
Yes.
And there were so many voices saying, do this or that. And honestly, I just found that so confusing. I think we really wanted to do the best thing for our child. I think every parent does. And there were so many voices and well-intended comments and suggestions, and nothing ever really settled. Like I felt like there was no concrete information that we could really get our head around. And actually, I called a friend and
The old phone a friend.
I phoned a friend, talked to her. She was super resourceful. She recommended the material, and it was like an 800 number, called, got bounced around a little bit, and borrowed the videos from a Baptist church locally because we weren't sure if we wanted to invest in the videos because we weren't sure. And honestly, it became like our second Bible. It really impacted us in such a great way. And it gave us language and it gave us confidence. And I think parenting is hard with or without a plan. I think it's harder without a plan. And knowing that you're working hard towards something is so rewarding. Like it makes it so worth it. And it's something we could both get our heads around and kind of unite and move forward. Yeah. So we became students of the material and it guided our parenting. And so honestly, it changed our having one child to just truly enjoying parenting. And
just however many the Lord wanted us to have. So let's go. It really gave us the confidence and vision for a path forward. And
enjoyed parenting and each other more. Which led to 5.
Yeah. Well, you said a key word in there. It really united you. Yeah. And I think that's so important is the Lord wants us as husband and wife to be united. Yeah. And when we can get on the same page and, having a plan that you can both get on board with is so key.
Yeah, I've truly enjoyed that. What resonated with me right away was the husband-wife relationship piece of it. And I grasped that early on. What truly made sense to me was protecting that husband-wife relationship and that it's a different relationship in the home than the parent-child relationship. And so what does that look like? And I think that the marriage we have today is largely because of that principle and elevating that husband-wife relationship above the parent-child relationship and seeing how the kids feed off of that relationship and seeing that, within the early years of applying this material, that hooked me. Honestly,
well, the question just came to me, and this will be, you can both answer this question. So you've been married 30 years this summer. So Don, you're up first. What's one thing about your wife, Julie, that early on challenged you about her as a wife, but now you really appreciate? And Julie, you're going to get a chance to answer the same question. So one thing about Don that challenged you, but now you're like, man, that's a really great quality.
So that's an easy one, honestly.
I thought it would be for you. That's why I went to you first.
I'm a guy of order.
Yep, and I saw confidence in your eyes as I was asking the question.
Well,
yes.
And there was no rehearsal of that, so that's a good thing.
Pretty stellar.
I'm a guy of order, and there's an unhealthy aspect to that. And what I love about her and would allow the Holy Spirit, allow the Lord to use that part of her in me was her fun-loving. She likes to do things the fun way. There's an order piece to her as well. But the fun aspect and the freedom, I just look at it as a freedom piece of it that it's okay that you can enjoy. There's a fun part to order, if that makes any sense.
So that challenged you up front, though.
It did challenge me, absolutely, Rich, in a way that I didn't quite understand that, is this okay?
So you can have fun.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, it's still a challenge today because Julie and I, can be very focused. And as fun-loving as she is, there's that focus side to her, too. And it feeds my focus side. And so if both of us are focused, then the fun gets kind of pushed to the side. And we have to pay attention to it in our marriage, even
God
today.
wants us to have fun.
He does.
Yeah. He also wants us to get things done.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
there's a balance.
Where's that sweet spot?
Yeah. Do you like how I threw that in there?
Yes. Good job.
Done. Yeah. Julie, how about you? What's one thing about Don early in your relationship that you were like, man, I got to change that. And now you're like, that's a great quality. I need to let him roll with that.
Yeah. I think we are a perfect example of opposites attracting. And when we realized that we're better together and we're on the same team, like those two statements, better together and on the same team, we really hit our stride. And I would say I think he described me pretty well. I think everyone's strengths can be a weakness too. And so recognizing I need what he has, I need that order, I need that structure that just comes so easily to him. But yet him also seeing it needs to look like freedom for me too, in a way. It's not a formula. Parenting's not a formula. Life isn't a formula. And so where is the freedom in that, but yet still the structure and the order and the routine? And so we have a lot of fun together. We do get a lot done.
It's captured in the phrase, and this is more of the last probably 5 years or so, or 10 years maybe, is Julie likes to say freedom on the narrow path. And what does that look like? And so that has really resonated with me, that the narrow path, there's life on the narrow path, but you can also have that freedom that comes with that life and that fun. And so it doesn't have to be broad, out of control, or no structure, no order to it. So, but where's that freedom? Where's that spot? And so we've been really good to navigate that narrow path, but have some fun along the way and enjoy relationships like we have with the two of you and your beautiful family, that it's doable. It's very doable.
Yeah, I think that's so key. I remember early on, same thing, being frustrated with some things about Rich. And then when I learned, I know, it's hard to believe.
This
and I'm
is
sure
coming
you're
out now.
frustrated.
Why didn't you tell me at the beginning of the podcast you were going to share this? You throw this on me now.
Let me finish something. You're going to like this. You're going to like how it ends.
I'm working through this.
But once I realized that he was balancing me out, he was bringing another dimension to our marriage, to the completeness of once we had said our vows with each other, and almost the exponential package that you get when two very opposite people come together. It was really a big aha for me. I don't think anyone had shared that with me going into marriage. We didn't really have any premarital counseling.
we went a little different on our premarital counseling.
Yeah.
We had a pastor. We got married in I think the church that you didn't grow up in, but you were
Partly,
attending at the time.
Yeah.
And we were living away from that church. And the pastor said he had marriage counseling. And we said, well, we couldn't make it because we
Premarital counseling.
Premarital counseling. And we were living, I think you were going to school still. I was working a job away. And we just said, we can't make it. And he's like, well, we'll just skip it then. And we were like, yes. Whoa, that's awesome.
Don't recommend that.
We don't have to
It's
attend
worked
these
out,
sessions.
but
Look how
don't
much time
recommend.
we're going to save. We're thinking, this is a big win for us.
Yes.
And then as we kind of got into our marriage, we're like, man, maybe that would have been
might have
good.
been helpful.
That might have been helpful to go
Yeah.
through that. So we are a
Yeah.
proponent. Anyone listening that is engaged, single, or soon to get married, soon to get engaged, do the premarital counseling. It's beneficial. Big
Our
time.
kids have really benefited.
I'm also going to
Big
do
time.
a plug, even if you are married, to do a plug for tune-up counseling
Yeah.
as well.
Yes.
I think it's very healthy and
I
good.
agree.
Do you think we need it, Julie? Is that why you said that? Are you seeing some issues
She
with our
says
marriage?
everyone needs it.
I think everyone, as we stay teachable, it's a good thing.
Is there one issue you see in our marriage that you think we need to work on about more than another?
Okay, moving on. I want to ask how you guys got into leadership, how you started leading during
That's a
families
good
classes.
transition question,
Thank you.
Julie. Thank you for that. I needed that.
Well, I'm going to answer.
gonna
Can
go
I
for
go
that?
first?
Okay,
I
go
just
for it, yeah.
actually think it's funny because somebody believed in us before we believed in ourselves.
Yes.
So true.
And somebody convinced us that we were one step ahead because we had the books and the videos. And so we were learning along the way and brought our friends along the way with us because we like to do things the fun way. And
She likes to do things.
We, she,
the fun
yeah,
way.
exactly.
She.
John does too.
Exactly.
He's
Yeah.
got a
So,
fun
well,
streak.
I think when you're
He's
very
becoming that way.
excited about what you're learning, it's natural to just overflow. And so I was excited. We were excited to share with other people what we were learning, not as experts, but what we were learning, and we could point them. So I think we became facilitators. We became ambassadors in a sense, just kind of cheering the material on, not coming from a place of we know everything. We still aren't at a place of knowing everything and still learning. So I think that is what it was somebody pointing it out, and just what was coming natural was bringing people along and learning along the way. And I think we just became leaders because we needed it. And we just wanted to keep taking the material. It looks different along the way. I think it's like the Bible. You read it one time. I mean, I don't know. You read it different times at different stages. The material hits different.
Yeah.
And so we just really enjoyed the fruit that we saw from it. And then also just bringing people along and seeing the stories and the transformation and it working for them too. I mean, and they were guiding principles. It's not a formula by any means. We all know that.
Right.
But these were principles in which you could establish your family on. And we were grateful for that.
Yeah, I love that. Just bringing along your friends. I mean, one of the reasons we started facilitating classes, I love that word because we weren't leading anything at the beginning, but we wanted our kids to have friends who had the same values. And so we thought, well, let's invite our friends from church, from the neighborhood to come take this class with us. And it resonated with so many people that then it was fun to do life with them because they were raising their children with the same values.
Well, what Julie said too is so important. And that is when you see someone doing something well, speak life into it. speak life into it, encourage them to use that to share with others. And that's what someone did with you. So many times it's human nature when we see someone doing something well, we just take that as, well, they're doing what they should be doing. So I'm not going to say anything. And then we take our time to focus on things that maybe they aren't doing as well or they need to improve on. And that's what we speak into. So if we spend more time noticing people that are doing things well and speaking into that, I believe we're going to have a chance to propel others to greatness, maybe even way above what we could do just by speaking into them. And we've got an episode on that. Was it episode 2, I think, in the podcast series, Speaking Life?
2 and 3, maybe.
2 and 3, yeah. We'll put a link in the show notes to that. If you haven't listened to that, go back and listen to it. It's one thing that has dramatically changed for the better of who I am and something that I'm striving to work towards more and more each and every day.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. What about you guys? You first heard that Speak Life teaching a lot of years ago and have heard it again over the years. How has that impacted your family, you personally?
It's been a life-changing experience and a challenging experience. And I think it goes back nearly 20 years or so.
In fact, 2005 is when it came out.
Okay, then that would make sense. And to be aware of the words that are actually coming out of your mouth and how they're landing in terms of life or death was a challenge for me, because the temptation is just to say the first thing that just comes to mind. And that...
Speak truth.
Speak truth. And...
Doesn't that go with your tongue and tone that you like to talk about?
Exactly. That's kind of where that's beautiful, because that's where I wanted to go with it.
Julie, he just called you beautiful. That's awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The tongue and tone, which is a phrase in the Growing Kids or Life series, that another one of many that has resonated with me, what I say and how I say it. And when the life message came along, that added fuel to the encouragement, really, to be aware of what I'm saying, how I'm saying it, and the impact it's having in the hearts in the home. And recognizing that as the husband, as the father, it's having even greater impact necessarily than mom. It's things that are kind of expected from mom from a nurturing standpoint. But from the father's perspective, your words are so powerful. That go deep into the heart of the child, that resonate in the heart of the child. And the children tend to remember the words from the father, or they collect the handwritten notes from the father. Nothing against the mom, but the father it just showed me how influential you can be in your home in a loving way, in a life-giving way that will impact your family tree. I mean, it has that level of impact, the words that come out of your mouth. And so you have a choice. Choose life or choose death. And I know that's in Deuteronomy, and it's built also in the tree of knowledge of good and evil. But it's more than just knowledge. It's allowing the Holy Spirit to be present in your home to make that change in your life that can have that impact. And I mean, I could probably go on about the changes in me personally, to be able to hold my tongue and find that way, process what are the words, the encouraging words. It's, the father's mandate to be the encourager of the family is one of them. And I took that on as a challenge. And so when the Life series came along and Speaking Life, that was exciting to me to be able to, give it some meaning and just having that long, everlasting impact on the family tree. I just think of it in terms of our family tree and the generational impact that we're having, just the two of us. And so if the words are just a small part that you don't necessarily think about having that impact on your family tree, but it does.
So since you've started Speaking Life as a couple, it is a lifelong process. It's a journey. You're getting better at it. There's times where you do better than others. What's something you've seen in your kids change in the relationship with you guys as parents on that journey? Just a few things that you've seen change in that.
I think there was a radical shift when I started to speak life to them. I felt like it communicated to them that I was for them.
That's good.
And I felt like I was on their side. I believed in them. And we were going to get through some of these things that the growth areas.
Mm-hmm.
And as opposed to me kind of pointing at them and pointing those things out, I was coming along beside them.
Mm-hmm.
And I believed in them, and I was going to help them walk through it. And I feel like that position of the way that I spoke, it built a relationship. It built a trust. I feel like we became a safe place for them, as opposed to it being so performance and behavior driven. It became a heart discipleship position.
That visual is so good because
Mm-hmm.
there's so many times when I'm talking through an issue with a child, or even Julie, and when I come alongside her, put my arm around her and approach it from that aspect.
Yeah.
Right now, as we're doing on YouTube, this embrace, the conversation goes, so much better. There's more receptivity on their end. And I feel like there's a connection where they really do believe that I want the best for them. Even though it might be a hard message, I want the best for them and I want them to get better and I'm in it with them, rather than me sitting on one side of the boardroom table, they sit on the other side of the boardroom table, and I ask questions, and based on their answers, I ask more questions, and we just keep going, and I teach through that. And that just doesn't go as well. And when I'm in those moments, I walk away from it and go, I could have done that better. I could have done that better. I could have improved.
Yeah. And I always go back to Christ died for us while we were yet sinners. He died for us knowing what we are becoming, what we can become, how we are growing. And it's the same with our kids. Instead of almost withholding of certain love or approval until they behave a certain way. That's not life-giving. That's not even the example that we have from our Savior. But he saw us in our sin. He saw us in the mud puddle. He saw us as clean and what he had to do.
Yes.
So good.
That.
And he who has done a good work in you won't complete it until the day Christ returns. So it's a lifelong journey of sanctification with our relationship with the Lord, right? And the same thing with our children. I think there's such a misconception that, we only have them for 18 years and we need to do our job.
Perfect.
Right. Exactly.
Well,
But
there's
how
the
much
pressure
more?
of I've got to get it all done in 18 years.
Yeah.
There's the pressure of if I don't get it done, what are they going to do once they're out? There's all kinds of things that go on in our heads as we're going on this journey, but it is a lifelong process. It's going to be something that we need to continue to invest in. We need to continue to work in. We need to continue to get better at. And we want to let them know that too, that this is a lifelong relationship. So what we do now is going to build and it's going to get better and better. I think that's one big principle.
We can build and position them as parents. We can have a role in positioning them towards Christ, which will help them.
And it's not always words that you speak. And I'm reminded of one story with Caroline, our middle child, and she was living at home. She's older at the time, she maybe 20, and she was dating her now husband. And I needed to reach her. I would see on my phone locator that she was in a parking lot and it was getting late at night. And she was not answering her phone, and it was becoming concerning. Some time had gone by, and it got to the point where I'm going to go to the phone. And it was probably a 40-minute drive or so from our house. And connected with her on the drive out there. And I was very, very concerned. And long story short, we connected. She's fine. I turn around, go back to the house, and probably 5 years earlier, I would not have had the same response. And my response was when she walked in the door, I was standing at the end of the hallway with my arms open, and I just gave her a big hug. Whereas in the past, I may have wanted just to kind of lecture, do you realize how concerned I was? You didn't pick up your phone, and just go through this lecture, which would have just, for her particularly, would have crushed her. But I never said a word to her. I just stood there with it was about 1:00 in the morning, 1:30 in the morning, and just gave her a big hug, and she just wept. She went right into, I'm so sorry, Dad. I just, should have let you know, but I was in this conversation, and it was a very legit reason. But my assumptions was allowing me to go in a way that was leading to death. And fortunately, I was able to take those assumptions and put them where they needed to be, which was not part of the reaction I wanted to have. I just wanted to let her know everything. I was okay, and just it was amazing how it changed her countenance from the few steps from the doorway to where I was standing in the hallway. Her whole countenance just changed, and it spoke to me. It ministered to me that it's not just the words; it's our actions as well, and how powerful a hug can go, how far it can go, how powerful it is. And as parents, sometimes we don't realize that we have to teach in the moment with the words when really they may just need a hug or just come alongside, or just sit down next to them, whatever it may be. And so that really ministered to me in terms of it's just not the words that speak life, but it's our actions that speak life too. So
that's good.
Well, as
that's
a dad
really
too, the physical touch is critical. So you've got sons and daughters. I've got sons and daughters. And a hug when they're little is important. And if you hug them when they're little and you continue hugging them, they will hug you as adults. And we both have adult children, and we both hug our adult children, both sons and daughters, and give them that embrace. And it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's really awesome. They receive it. They feel it. I feel it. And it's an amazing thing to continue doing. So for the dads out there, I would encourage you to continue hugging your sons and daughters through the teens all the way up and make it a normal thing, normal rhythm.
That's a great point, Rich, particularly with the daughters and dads, because when the daughters' bodies start changing and they're trying to figure something, they feel kind of awkward. Dads can feel kind of awkward. And I encourage the dads, don't stop hugging. Yeah. Keep going. If anything, it means even more.
Like when the hair starts growing longer. Is that what you meant?
Yeah. Well, it's exactly. But it makes a difference. Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to point something out that I thought was so beautiful is you assumed the best of Caroline. And it's very easy in our minds to assume the worst. Maybe we had a past and we're like, oh no, they're repeating mistakes that I've made in the past. And what can happen is we can slip into accusing what might have been going on in a parking lot, but instead you assume the best.
Yes.
And just look at how her countenance and the bond, I mean, the deposits that you've made all along. But there was another one.
Don and I talked before this episode. We couldn't come up with any mistakes that we've made in the past, though.
Wow. Okay.
So, I mean, I don't
Great
know.
job.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's good. You get your trophy, I get mine. Yeah.
I bought yours earlier today. Did you buy mine? Did you buy mine?
I did. It's going to be delivered soon. Yeah.
Good. Well, you know what? Why don't we transition to the topic that we're going to cover over the next couple of episodes? Yeah. But today we're going to introduce it. We're going to give a brief introduction on the difference between discipline and discipleship. And then we're going to do a couple of deep dives on episodes following this to take an episode on each of those topics. So discipline and discipleship have distinct meanings. So in the general sense, discipline refers to training and correction, often involving external motivation to change behavior, where discipleship is a process of teaching from a mentor, from a parent, and it focuses on developing their relationship with God and other relationships from which to pour into them and teach them. So, Julie, when you hear the words discipline, discipleship, this whole topic, what are some thoughts that you have to start us off on just an overview on this?
Yeah. Well, they both sound so alike. What are the first, 6, 7 letters are the same. And I had to look this up, but it comes from a Latin word, discipulus, which means student or learner.
It's 7.
7.
Yeah, 7.
Okay.
Good job.
Same for 7 letters. And so it's showing there is a connection between learning and instruction. Julie and I actually do a monthly Zoom call for moms called Mom Talk Thrive. And we dove into this.
We can put a link in the show notes.
Topic. It's on YouTube. I think it was in April of 2025 where we actually talked about this with a group of moms on Zoom and talking about the difference and how important they both are. If we lean too heavy on discipline, we might get their outward behavior. We might get kids that are shiny on the outside and look good, but they might be empty on the inside if we haven't worked on discipleship. If we're 100% focused on discipleship and we never do any discipline, they might not have the discipline to work on things as they grow their growth. And we also want to, and we'll go into this a little bit deeper, but if there is too much of an emphasis on discipline, it can become punishment, which can actually harden a child's heart. And that's not what we're going for either.
That's good. That's really good. So Don and Julie, as you think about these two words, this topic, what are some thoughts come to mind?
Well, I would say that both of them are incredibly important. I feel like there's a little bit of a negative connotation when you say discipline, and especially when you're talking about parenting, disciplining and parenting. But if we look at the Bible, it talks about discipline, and the Lord disciplines us. I think we could all come up with an example right now of where you know that the Lord has disciplined you and it's been for our good. And so I think that when we think of discipline, we have to think about the importance of it and that it is a positive thing. So I think that that's important. And then the discipleship is also about training the heart. But the two are very important, and not to just look at discipline as being something negative, because it can be very positive. And discipline in the early years is very important, and with the goal of reaching their heart. And so they both are important at all stages. They look different at all the stages of parenting. But I do have this quote: discipline without discipleship corrects behavior, but misses the heart. Discipleship without discipline lacks structure, but together they train up a child not just to behave, which is what you were talking about, the outward behavior, not just to behave, but to belong to Christ. So when we add in that discipleship part, that's what our goal is, to reach their heart so that they know who and whose they are in Christ.
I like that. And I think we can all think of kids who are very respectful to your face. We live in the South. It's often yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. And you think, wow, what great kids. And then they turn around, go off to college and just go off the rails. And that's kind of what I think. There was probably a lot of discipline, maybe not a lot of discipleship in their life.
Hebrews chapter 12, verse 11, thinking of what you just said, Julie, about discipline, maybe not feeling good at the time. No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness. So at the time, discipline sometimes doesn't feel that good.
No, even as a parent, I don't want to have to discipline my child, but I know that will bring that harvest of righteousness. And we've seen that.
And in Proverbs 22:6, just to flip it a little bit, train up a child in the way he should go. Even when he is old, he will not depart from it. And that applies to discipline and discipleship.
There's a phrase that captures it for me: duty versus devotion. And duty represented disciplining, and devotion represented discipleship. And there was an intentionality on both our parts to reach the heart of our child, so that honoring your parents, or honoring age, or respecting property, or those type of principles, that they could one day grasp those from a devotion standpoint, because it's the right thing to do, as opposed to I'm doing it in the duty context, which is I'm doing it because my parents are telling me what to do, my teacher's telling me what to do. And so for me personally, it helped me with the approach that we would take in whether it was correction for the child, depending on the phase of parenting that we're in and the level of maturity for the child, versus the reaction, trying to be more proactive versus reactive in the application of getting to devotion, but also having a healthy respect for duty, because that discipline has got to be there. I don't think you may not get to the devotion part without the discipline early on as you are teaching the child, training the child.
So you had Don explain who I was or describe who I was, and he mentioned the fun way. And I have to tell you, one difficult thing in parenting was realizing that I leaned towards parenting towards happiness. And I did like the kids to have fun. And I am just wired towards positivity. And
which your kids appreciated in the moment.
In the moment.
I'm sure.
Exactly.
They were like, Mom is the ticket.
And I think that it's so important that we understand who we are as parents too, so that we understand our bent. And so my bent was not so much structure, which I needed, but also to parent for happiness over holiness. And so I was just constantly reminding myself in my journey of parenting, am I parenting for happiness, which is happy children, right? No conflict, wanting to avoid conflict because I don't like conflict. But is that really going to bear the fruit of them being holy? And so what is my role as a parent to equip them towards holiness and not just happiness? That helped me a lot just because of the way I was wired.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. That's a good way to look at it. You still have so much fun.
It would be frustrating, honestly, full transparency in terms of early days of parenting and frankly was the early years of our marriage as well, because we started having children right away and had to hit the ground running and we
not right away. I mean, you get a few months.
Well, I mean, it was fun.
Right.
It was within the year. I think you can say right away.
Yeah, it was. And we did do some premarital counseling and, big fan of that. But the reality is we had to be parents right away. And so you get, a couple of children in the house running around, and birthday parties were a big deal for us, and for Julie. And particularly when we just had one child. And that was a little heartburn for me, frankly. I mean, yes, I want to have fun, but this child is becoming the center of the universe. Mm-hmm. And we're learning this material at the same time. And so, the structure in me, the duty guy in me is like, we need to be more structured with this and not allow...
Rain cloud.
Yeah, big rain cloud. Yeah, that was a popular phrase. Yeah.
I'm teasing.
And we had to work
we
for
need
this.
It.
I mean,
and I have to say, though... I have to.
Okay,
I
now
do
this
want
has
to
turned into a marriage.
No, I have to.
Yeah, this is
Julie,
good.
you
This
can
is
ask your
good.
first question.
Yeah.
But I do want to say how much we need each other, because honestly, there were times when I thought this material doesn't work, and we're helping other children or other parents with their children, and they're getting their children to sleep through the night, and yet we are having some hiccups along the way, and so to think, oh, this just isn't working because it's hard. And looking at it as a formula. And so I have to say that I'm so grateful for Don and his vision and his consistency and tenacity to we are going to do this, and let's do it together, and let's work through this. And so understanding that, because I probably would have because it fought structure. It called out things in me that were hard for me, that didn't come easy. The structure, the routine. And it forced me, I had a decision to make. Am I going to do this for our family and for our children? And I'm so thankful. And we all know that when we're raising children, it's refining us in the process. So,
well, we talk about discipline, and I think what we think of is, since we're talking about parenting, is correction. But the Hebrews verse says, no discipline seems pleasant at the time. It sounds like Don was a little more disciplined to institute the material, which was not pleasant at the time. Right. Mm-hmm. Even for you, probably, yes. It's still tough. Maybe you had a little more of the drive to, no, I know we need to stick to this. And so the discipline of doing it was tough. It was painful, but later on, it did produce a harvest of righteousness. Yes. And your kids are walking examples of that. They are all in their 20s. They're all walking with the Lord.
Yes.
You have a great relationship with all of them. And I think that's really important, and a testimony to the faithfulness and the discipline that you have put in, not only to discipline your children, but also to disciple them.
Yes.
And in subsequent episodes, we're going to dive deep into, okay, how do you discipline? What does it look like? How do you disciple? What does that look like?
And the key component to that is you're getting discipled as well in your relationship with the Lord. And that was a big part of it too. Yeah. So remaining teachable and humble through this process, particularly as a husband and a father, to allow the Lord through his word, through other community of believers, through the voice of the Lord, teaching me.
Yeah.
So I can be more Christ-like in my marriage, and that just flows into the parent-child relationship. So there's a whole lot of discipleship going on. And to your point earlier about, the Lord is a gentleman. He knocks. He doesn't barge in and say, do it this way or the highway, or my way or the highway. He knocks, and he wants to be invited in. And so understanding that concept in a marriage and a parent-child relationship has been important.
And I think we need to be students of God, right? Allow ourselves to be discipled, students of ourselves, understanding our own the wiring and the way that the unique way that God created us, and a student of our children. And so if we stay a student and a teachable in all of those areas, I believe that God fills in the gaps. And
Yeah. Well, we keep saying over and over that parenting isn't a formula, or walk with the Lord isn't a formula.
right.
We open up, and I've talked about this before on Mom Talk Thrive. I used to open up my Bible and say, what am I doing wrong? And what do you want me to do about it, Lord? And it was, where am I getting off on the formula? I want the formula. Show me the do's and don'ts. And I think I'm wired that way. That's a little more of my bent, that give me a checklist and I can do it. And with parenting, it's not that way. There's some great principles. The Lord is so gracious. But as we lean into Him, as we strengthen our relationship with Him, it can overflow into the relationship with our husband, with our wife, with the relationship with our children. And if there's any formula, that's what it is. It's strengthening our relationships.
Right. It's not perfection, it's pursuit, right?
Yes.
Our pursuit of Him. Yeah.
Yes, so good.
Well, just thinking about summarizing this, you've got discipline, which you focus on training, correction, and the motivation for that usually are some type of more external rules, consequences. And the outcome is probably a change in behavior, more adherence to the rules. And that might be, just a practical example of that would be time management, exercise, budgeting. Those would be benefits of that methodology. Where discipleship, you're going to be focused on learning, following, imitating a mentor along the way. It probably is more of an internal motivation, less external, and desire for personal growth, where the outcome is going to be a transformation, closer relationship with God, changing character, closer relationship with people. And an example of that may be growing closer to God in your relationship with Him, mentoring others. So it's amazing how they go so well together when you think of them, where discipleship involves learning and practicing various levels of discipline. It's the outcome of that. And those discipline habits can be the foundation for an outcome of discipleship. So they go hand in hand. And we're excited to unpack them separately. But if you're not doing both, you're probably not in a healthy spot. And we all need to be doing both in our lives to gain ground and to make a difference. So we're excited to expand on both of these separately in upcoming episodes. Any closing thoughts, Julie?
No, I'm just so thankful that you guys are here. It's been fun doing this with you. Thanks for joining us.
Awesome.
So looking forward to covering these two in more detail in additional episodes. And we are thankful that you joined us for this episode.
Yeah, definitely. We hope you've been strengthened in your role as a parent. For more resources, you can go to growingfamilies.life. There's videos there, links to sign up for online parenting classes, find out different events that are going on, and how to connect with a contact mom.
We would encourage you to subscribe to this podcast. Leave a review if you can to help others find this resource. And if you would like other topics or suggested ideas for us to cover in future episodes of the podcast, email us at podcast@growingfamilies.life.
Yep, and we'd love to connect with you on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and of course, YouTube.
Yep, thanks. Been great. Thanks, Don and Julie. Looking forward to covering discipleship and discipline in these next couple episodes. So every other episode, the guests have given the hosts a gift. I didn't see you guys walk in with anything. What did you guys bring today?
It's getting delivered. You got to go to the dealership. Okay.
That's what I'm
Get rid of
about.
that Ford Explorer.
we may be having these guests back.
Not that dealership.
This may be our first repeat guest, other than Gary and Anne-Marie.
I think you meant the dealer.
Shit. The dealer. That's a whole different
connotation. Exactly.
Than the dealership.
That's right. You meet him in the park on the bench.
Am I sitting up too tall? Like I feel.
Actually, a little bit, maybe a half inch. No, not a little taller. Not maybe a little shorter.
Be comfortable.
Yeah.
You don't
Okay.
want to look too stiff.
Yeah.
Just-
Okay.
The thing is, these are pretty tall, so you kind of, you're taller than I am.
You can hide behind the
Don't
mic.
do that.
Dan.
The camera's watching everything.
Okay.
Use your core. Your core needs to activate when you're on the mic.
Tell me this was a workout session as well.